leaves, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I'm Courtney. How are you? How in the heck is everyone doing? I am yet again doing another one of the just kind of winging it and just sort of flying by the seat of my pants kind of things. We shall see how this goes. Like I've said before, I've said this a million times. Sometimes it turns out, and it's worth the listen, and other times, I'm like, ugh, I should not have posted that. Yikes! But I'm not going to edit it. Like I've said, it's the good and the bad. It's what I say is what I say, and if it bites me in the ass later, I need to deal with the consequences, right? I wish more people would understand that. Like, if you do something, if you break the law, for example, then, oh, all right. If you break the law, for example, then there needs to be consequences. And those that constantly get away, like you see this in small towns, I know because I lived in one. And if you know people, if you know the cops, if you're a bigwig, if you have a certain last name, you tend to get away with things. And that really just doesn't do you any good because you never learn a lesson. If you don't have accountability, then you just keep doing bad things, usually. Most people, not everybody. Some people learn. Some people, they do something, they get caught and they're like, oh, geesh, not doing that again. That was embarrassing. I didn't want that to happen. And then there's other people that are pretty entitled and they just continue to break the law because they feel they are untouchable because they've proven to be just that. Politicians, celebrities, totally good example. People that, like I said, come from small towns, this tends to happen. Holy crap. Dog fight, not fight, just barking. But yeah, people that live in small towns, it happens everywhere, all over. And it's just not cool. I mean, I admit it's happened to me. I've lived in a small town, been pulled over, and because they knew who I was and they knew who um, my parents were, they weren't anyone that was like a bigwig or a politician. It's just that my dad had grown up around there and he knew everybody. So, and everybody liked my dad. And so, and then I lived there long enough that people knew me and liked me. And um, I probably should have got a ticket, but I didn't. I did get tickets. I was not untouchable. I did have consequences, but sometimes I didn't. And, you know, sure, we all deserve a break sometime, obviously, if we're like doing something like jaywalking, I don't think the ticket's necessary or, I can't really categorize what I think is a small thing. Like, I don't get to decide what a small thing is. And besides, small things can lead to big things and it's the principle and all of that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, sure. Sometimes people deserve a break. You don't need to always put the hammer down on people. Like sometimes people are having a bad day, they do something stupid and they just need a break. But consequences, man, not a whole lot of consequences that happen these days, especially with celebrities and politicians. What is taking us so long to um, to put the hammer down on these politicians? I don't understand why a lot of these people aren't thrown in jail immediately because Lord knows if we stole billions of dollars from our government, they would have us in jail for fraud, and we'd be in prison. We'd be in a federal prison. I don't understand why they can money launder. They can commit fraud, they can commit treason, they can threaten the president's life, and they can kill people, COVID, for example, and vaccinations, all that stuff. And they can lie to us, they can spread misinformation so that they can manipulate us. And all of these things are just okay, apparently. Sure, they're going to make a big show and act like we're questioning Fauci and act like, oh, look, we're questioning Fauci. Okay, great. Nothing's ever going to happen, and we know this. No, we know this. And yet people are mad at Trump right now. How in the fuck can you possibly be mad at Trump right now? Are you kidding me? All of this money, my Social Security, my son's Social Security has been spent. It's gone. I have been forced to pay into that since the day I started working, which legally I started working at 14. Under the table, I started working at like 12. And then if you count babysitting and mowing lawns and stuff, of course they didn't take out taxes then. And under the table, they didn't take out taxes. But since I was 14, I've been paying into this. It's been mandatory. They have said, you're doing it. And I was okay with that because it was going to my future. So I was like, cool beans. Yay, 2 thumbs up, 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. But then when they turn around and they are like, oops, tee hee hee, our bad. We did not spend that money how we were supposed to. We just lost it. And we used it to commit fraud. And we used it to money launder. And we used it on ridiculous things like paying our cars off and parties, on misinforming America, on trying to get Donald Trump assassinated and trying to get him from running for president. I mean, now I don't have a future, and where's that money? I shouldn't have to continue to pay into Social Security, that's for sure. Why am I still paying it? That should be stopped immediately. I'm not going to pay into other people's future unless it's what I decide. If I choose, if I make the decision to pay into, say, my grandson or my son's future, that's me, for me to decide. I don't need to be forced to pay into other people's fucking disability. Oh my God. I was listening to Ben Shapiro and talking about AOC. Anytime I feel bad about myself, anytime I'm hard on myself, I'm like, phew, at least I'm not that kid's parents. At least I'm not AOC's parents or AOC. At least I'm not Nancy Pelosi or her family. At least I'm not a lefty and their family. Sorry, lefties. You know, you're crazy right now. You got to know that, right? I mean, I guess if you're crazy, you're not going to know it, though. I mean, otherwise, I suppose you wouldn't be crazy. I don't know. Can crazy recognize that they're crazy? Probably not. I think that's probably part of the definition, right? I don't know. No, I guess that's not true. I should look up the definition, but I think you can be crazy and be aware of it. But apparently, if you're a leftist, you're not. And hey, I do hate it when people go, 77% of America is on board and agrees with Donald Trump is doing. Well, that's awesome, and I say that sometimes too, and that is awesome. However, I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of people that maybe agreed with a lot of bad things in the past because they didn't know any better, because they didn't have the information. And so the majority, like maybe, were down with slavery. Democrats, you guys were down with slavery. You were like, slavery, yeah, let's fight over it. Let's we need someone to work for us, because Lord knows we're a bunch of fucking lazy people that want everybody else to work for us so that we don't have to lift one of our entitled fingers. And now disability is covering people that that aren't disabled. I don't remember the exact facts, but it was funny because Ben was breaking it down, and essentially what it boils down to, from the ages of 19 to 34, I believe it was, somewhere in there. Um, out of the people that are on disability, 22% of people that are on disability are that age group. Now, come on. Ben's point, and all of us that have a brain know if you're between 19 and like in your mid 30s, what the fuck are you on disability for? I'm not saying you can't be disabled. You could have had a horrible car accident. You could have been born with a genuine disability, you know, but, or, and I guess it's gone up. Disability has gone up from something like, what did he say? It was like 950,000 or something like that, up to 70 million people. Since like 1974, it's gone up from it was something like 940,000 up to 70 million. So if it's in the 70s, I'm 51. Okay, so in 51 years, it's gone up that much. That seems odd. I need to get the stats before I just pull them in my ass. I don't want to be a Democrat and just pull stats out my ass and act like I know what I'm talking about. But put it this way, the point is a lot of people, many people are on disability that are not disabled, not disabled. And apparently, you have to get a doctor's note claiming you're disabled. Well, I personally know people that are on disability that shouldn't be. I know people, just like people get a service dog. You can get a service dog just by asking. All you have to do is ask your doctor, hey, can I get a service dog? They'll go, yeah, sure. Let's pretend that you have a thing. And there's a huge difference, by the way, huge difference between a service dog and a dog that is actually there to all of a sudden my brain has stopped and now I can't remember the name of the dog. I'll think of it. Service dog and service animal. What am I trying to think of? Anyways, when you truly get your dog certified because say you're blind or you're deaf or maybe you're a quadriplegic or a paraplegic or whatever it is, maybe you have seizures. And so you have a genuine service dog that actually goes to for real training that is supposed to be, by the way, when they're born. Like literally from the moment they're born, they're supposed to go into training to be, if you're a true service dog. Well, now you can get them just by being like, once in a while, sometimes I feel down. Once in a while, I feel a little sad. I'll be like, oh, you get a dog, you get a dog, you get a dog. Now, don't get me wrong. I I understand why apartments don't want animals because they can ruin them and all that. However, they do charge a gigantic deposit, and I kind of am like, come on. It's weird not to allow dogs. And it's weird, especially when you very much can charge pet rent or deposits or both to cover yourself and charge people with whatever damage. And I get that some people will maybe damage it to the point that maybe that person doesn't have the money to cover it. And maybe that person now, you know, you can't get money out of a turnip. Isn't that what they say? Maybe that person's doesn't have a lot of money and they can't afford all the damage. But then and if you try to sue them, you can't get money out of someone that doesn't have it. But nowadays, they ask for homeowners insurance, and you have to pay. It's required that you pay homeowners insurance. So I don't know. I'm just saying you shouldn't have to go to lengths to lie to get a service dog. But regardless, you shouldn't. Also, why do you need a service dog again if it's okay, that's what I'm trying to say. There's emotional support. Okay. There's an emotional support animal. And then there's an actual service animal. An emotional support dog, for example, doesn't go to school, doesn't get trained. And what I can't stand, what I detest more than a lot of things, is seeing dogs that have the service dog, not emotional support dog, but it says service dog vest on. And they're running all over and they're jumping on people and they're hyper and they're pulling their owners around. And I'm like, service dog my fucking ass. Clearly, that's not a service dog because no actual service dog does that. When they are wearing that vest, they are working. They're working. They're not jumping on people. They're not running around. They're not knocking over their owner. They're working. They're on a job. So if they're an emotional support animal, then don't put a service dog vest on them because that's lying. And just be honest about it. Just say, You want a dog because animals make people happier. Most people, not everybody, but whether it's a bird, a horse, a cat, a dog, a fish, a hamster, whatever it is, people tend to get animals because it makes them happy. And that's amazing. I firmly believe in having an emotional support animal. I don't think we should call them that. I think we should just say they are our pet, they are a family member, whatever, and they make us happy. I mean, but I think of emotional support as people that actually have deep, true, for real, like schizophrenia or PTSD or severe, debilitating anxiety or whatever. Otherwise, it's a pet. And that's amazing. I have many pets that give me emotional support. They give me emotional support, but I don't call them my emotional support animal. That's like calling your spouse your emotional support human. This is my emotional support human. No, he's just your, or they are just, he or she is just your partner. And part of being a partner is being emotionally there for you, supporting you, being there when you need them. But I don't call them my emotional support human. I just called them by their name. I don't know. So service animals actually are trained from the time they're puppies, and usually people don't pick out their service animal. I don't know if you know this, but most people are assigned, like the service animal is assigned to a person because that service animal was trained maybe specifically for diabetes or specifically for seizures, not for anything else, just seizures. And they assign a dog to you. And that animal even goes so far as when they're in that person's home, they follow just that person around. So it's hard for any other person in the family because they're not going to get as close to that dog, and that dog's not really a pet. They serve a different purpose. It's like having a little caregiver follow you around. Anyway, and why do you need to bring your emotional support dog into the grocery store? Like, again, if it's genuinely like you have debilitating, maybe agoraphobia, and literally, quite literally going outside is like a gigantic deal for you. Okay, then I get, a grocery store. Maybe you need your dog, but that's a service animal. Then you should have a service animal, not an emotional support animal. Those are two different things. And again, don't wear the vest if you're not an actual service dog. Just my little PBS special there. I sound like a condescending asshole right now. I just realized my tone's a little like snarky. I'm being all, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to come off that way. I just get a little fired up, get a little heated because I know people that actually, have true things. And so disability, circling around. Again, if you haven't listened to my podcast, you're going to, holy cow, you, that is not okay. You're going around being a real thug today. Go lay down and time yourself out. You need a vacation. Go. Ah, the whole good girl. Think about it. You need to tap your third eye 21 times and think about it. Anyway, sorry, my dog's a little crazy. Social Security and the whole actually being disabled. It drives me insane that I now don't have Social Security because our government mismanaged our money and because there are people out there that are too fucking lazy to work, don't want to work, and they claim disabled, claim disabled, they cry wolf when they're not. And it really pisses me off because now what am I supposed to do? I've been working my ass off. And let me tell you, I'm exhausted. Let me tell you, I have had to go to work when I have had horrible things go on in my life. And I've been sore and I've been exhausted, and I literally hadn't been to bed yet. And yet, meanwhile, people are just sitting at home eating their free food, watching from their rental assisted property where they get help with their rent, and they're stuffing their face with food that they don't pay for. And then meanwhile, they turn around and they get a shit ton of taxes back. And I'm not really sure why, because if you're not working, you're not paying taxes. But oh, if you have kids, then you get a boatload of taxes back. So you're just basically having kids just because you want money, which I find disturbing. And you should get yourself checked out because you're mentally unstable, because there are people that will have kids just for the benefits of having kids, not because they actually want them. And when I say benefits, I mean like money benefits, tax benefits. I don't mean emotional support kids. What if we started calling kids emotional support kids? Well, when I have kids, it gives me emotional, it makes me happy. They're my emotional support kids. I'm going to put a little jacket on that says emotional support kids. I'm going to allow them in a bar. I can take them to a bar, right? Because they're my emotional support kids, right? People. I mean, why not? People let transgender, like people dance for their kids while their kids give them money. Minors dancing. I mean, minors giving money to men dressed with their parts dilly-dallying out. I mean, come on. Even if their parts aren't out, why are you letting adults dance provocatively and sexually, not and sexually, but provocatively, sexually for your minor? What does that make you? Like, think about that. Stop for a second. Let's all stop. Let's think. Let's think about the libtards. That should be a well, maybe how, I just had an aha V8 moment. Maybe a lot of the disability that we're seeing from ages like 19 to mid 30s, they're disabled because they're libtards. And if you're a libtard, you are disabled. So it's all making sense. It's all making sense now. The libtards are taking the money because they're pretending they're disabled, but at the same time, they are mentally unstable. Very. And should be locked up in a padded cell. So instead of, though, spending money on them and them staying home, we should actually probably lock them up and do some type of like a zoo type of thing where they're like, we can watch them and be like, watch as the libtard picks lice out of the other libtard's hair as they delouse each other. I'm sorry. For any libtards out there that are listening, we thought I was going to say I'm sorry, but I'm not. That's how I feel. And I'm not sorry for it. I mean, again, sometimes you say things and later on you look back and you're like, ugh, I inserted my foot in my mouth and that did not go well. But other times you're like, I still mean it. I'll say it again. I'm pretty sure I'll mean it later in life. I'm pretty sure I'll say it again. I don't think I'm going to regret that, but maybe. Never say never, right? Anyway, so those are some things on my mind. I went for a little walk and I saw a dog that had um the service animal on it, and the dog was rowdy and stuff, and I was like, no. You're probably one of the people that are taking my money. Because again, an emotional support animal is different than a service animal. That's like pretending that you're a veteran when you're not, and that bothers me. Like that's pretending to be a police officer if you're not. That's like impersonating. That's impersonating a service dog. Again, nothing against dogs. I love them. I work with them every day. I have a lot of them. Love them. I want to rescue every one of them. But let's face it, huge difference between an emotional support animal and a true service animal. We don't need to do the typical lefty thing. I know it's not just a lefty thing, though. Everybody does it. Everybody. But we don't need to lie. Let's just say what it is. This is my dog. This is my cat. This is my bird. It's not your emotional support bird. Again, it's like saying that your spouse is your emotional support spouse. No, they're just your partner and they give you emotional support. They're there for you when you need it. This is my child. They're my emotional support child. No, they're just your child that makes you happy, makes you want to live, all these things. Sometimes, you want to shoot yourself, but, usually you want to live. So, service dog, emotional support animal, not the same. Anyway, again, I'm sounding kind of snarky today, so I apologize for the snarkiness, but I am so happy that you've tuned in. I am grateful. I'm appreciative. I am lucky to have you. Thank you so very much. Tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell your coworkers, tell your family. Shout it from the rooftops like the sound of music. Just, spin circles in a field and be like, the hills are alive with the ramblings of an insomniac podcast. Wasn't that beautiful? Yeah. Okay, I promise I'll stop. No, I can't promise that. I can't promise I'm going to stop. But I do apologize for how it sounds. Anyway, hey, you, my friend, yep, you, and you, and you, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And until next time.